I think it's no secret that attached inventory is struggling right now. Mostly what I've seen a lot of is townhome developers needing a plan B. And, they had some success in the spring, the summer, but now they've got 5, 6, 7 units hanging around that are not really moving. The bank wants to be paid off. These builders have another project they've already started, and they're like, I've got, do something with these units. So, we're either offering, hey, let's pay off your construction debt, get you into maybe a 12-month bridge loan, interest only, easy peasy, don't need leases, don't need nothing. That's one option.
Hey, Colorado. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the market of fix and flips, BRRRRs, and get this, a BRRRR in Boulder we'll be talking about, and actually talking about some strategic DSCR cash out refinancing. So we're going very tactical in some recent deals and also trends for what some investors are doing around Colorado. And my guest today is Caitlin Waldschmidt with Dynamo Capital. Good morning, Caitlin.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here. We have talked a lot offline over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. The last couple months, we've talked a lot more since you're with Dynamo Capital. And you guys just out here, you guys are cranking on some deals.
We are. Yeah, we're really excited to be in the market. The fund managers see the value in Colorado real estate, how active everyone is out here, and, they want a piece of it. So I'm really excited to be part of the team and bringing in business.
So before we get into the details, just... I know you've been an active lender here for, I think, maybe a decade or so in Denver. I've seen you for a long time. Give them about just your background and some of the deals you've done over the years.
Sure. Yeah. I've been in lending about 9 years now, so coming up on a decade. I started at a private fund out of Boulder. Did a stint in corporate, as I tell people, and then have moved back since to a private fund. It's my preferred, situation, company size.
Well, the culture is probably very different, right?
It very much is. Yeah. It, you have a lot of decision-making power. You get to be involved in the front and the back end and see everything that's going on behind the scenes in lending. So I've been in Denver that whole time. I've originated nationwide. I focused in Colorado, mountain regions. So I've seen a good mix of deals, different markets, loan sizes. I've done everything from, your small mom and pop flip up to large multifamily, some commercial stuff, lines of credit for, inventory builders, things like that. So I've gotten to dabble in all different deal types during different seasons, different markets, and it's been good. It's been a ride.
Wonderful. Well, that's what we'll talk about, deals and trends. Sure. Obviously, everyone knows we all did real estate before 22 and interest rates started going up, and the market has changed. I think the market has changed more drastically than a lot of us anticipated, right? Mm-hmm. So to jump into it, tell us from a high level, like from a trends, like what do you see that's selling right now and like what's not selling?
Yeah. I wish I had the exact perfect blueprint to tell everyone. I have noticed some trends though. And I think really what it comes down to is buyers have options. There's a lot of inventory out there. There's in the same neighborhood that a buyer might be looking at, there's 3, 4, 5 properties that are all either, newly flipped or, still in great condition. So I think sellers need to be really mindful of that when they're looking at a property buy and as they're renovating it. So, looking at what their target exit price is from the beginning and not necessarily saying, I'm going to match the highest comp in this neighborhood, aiming maybe just below that. And then on the back end, when you go to sell, if you get an offer, and I was just talking to an agent yesterday who's an investor and mainly an investor agent, saying that what he's seen sitting right now is properties that were listed July, August, September, and they passed on the first offer they got that was maybe 10 or 15K below, what the seller was.
The sellers were that picky?
Yes, exactly. They had this ARV in their mind. This offer comes in slightly below that, and nope, they're going to die on that hill. They want that ARV.
Were they flippers?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, they get an offer that's just below what,
what they burn that in their holding cost.
Exactly. So now the properties have sat for 3 months, 4 months. And who knows when they're going to sell, and of course now we're getting into the winter season, slower buying season. So I think first being, not so hell bent on maybe I'm not going to get exactly what my ARV appraisal said 6 months ago. Not all properties are doing that. Some are selling right at, what they thought it was going to, but just taking a look at the big picture and saying, okay, this is good enough right now. I can take my cash and move on to the next one.
So be conservative in your ARVs. And then be reasonable in the numbers you'll take.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
pragmatic.
Exactly. I get it. You've put time, sweat, blood, tears into these deals, but sometimes taking a good offer and moving on to the next is better than seeing if something higher comes in and then waiting 3, 4, 5 months and spending that in interest instead or holding costs. So things like that. And then, really when you're looking at a property, another good friend of mine, wholesaler, said that things that are selling right now don't have the buts. And the buts don't have the buts. And I'll explain what I mean. She said, this is a great house, but it's on a busy road. But it backs up to an industrial property, but it's got ugly power lines ahead of it, on top of it. And, in a seller's market, those butts, as we say, maybe not a big deal. You can overlook them. Right now, when there's options, that busy road, that's a deal killer. Those power lines, it's an eyesore. I'm going to go with this property over here. So, as boring as it is to say, finding something that's down the fairway, fairly vanilla, in those things. And then when you go into renovating the property, I think right now being really intentional with your design and with what you're doing with the property, the basic, gray paint, white cabinets kind of thing that, people were just the Home Depot, renovation kit everyone was getting that worked 2 years ago. It's maybe not working right now, or it's not the first choice.
So flipper gray might be going out of style.
Yeah, and hopefully, that comes back one day, maybe. But right now it's, you're being compared against all these other deals. So a flipper who hired a designer who's maybe looking at what the trends are right now, which are, warm colors, earth tones, woods, things like that, and being more intentional about your finishes. Paint colors,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And people are really, when they have so many options, they want to go into something that already feels like a home and not so sterile. A personal example, my sister and her husband are moving back to Colorado from out of state, and they were looking on one street. There was 3 properties on the same street that were basically identical in layout, size, pretty much price, everything.
Like single family homes?
They're paired homes.
Okay.
So one side of the paired home. They picked 2 of them, and the one that they went with was because they liked the bathroom tile and the floor a little bit better. And in a seller's market, like, that's easy things people would we don't love it, it's okay, it's an easy fix.
Was the other one just like standard?
It was
grade?
Yeah, and the paint colors too. It was like a mauve, and the one they picked was, more modern. It was white, which anyone knows, like, you can easily paint, but it's one less thing they have to do now. And so it's come down to very nitpicky details, which is great for buyers. But I'm telling my borrowers, my sellers, like, pay attention, be really intentional with that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's deals are absolutely still happening. People are still making money. You just pay attention to the details a little bit more right now.
Are you seeing any construction budgets just go astronomical? I know costs have been all over the place the last couple of years. What are you seeing, like, those trends for just labor and materials?
Not so much right now. I would say earlier this year there was the whole thing about tariffs, and people were really concerned with pre-buying a lot of their materials, and I paid for all my cabinets and they're not going to be here for 6 months, and appliances and all that kind of stuff. That's slowed down, at least from what I've seen. Obviously I'm not purchasing materials every day, but as the lender, I'm not seeing people as concerned with maybe getting reimbursed on their budgets for some of these items anymore as I was at the beginning of the year. So I'm not seeing a lot of cost overrun right now. What I'm seeing is hold time, frankly, on the back end once the property's done.
So it's the price and hold time?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to move on because you had, as we were preparing for this podcast, we're kind of going some bullet points. You had mentioned BRRRR in Boulder.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to talk about this because, that is, in general, in Colorado, it's a very hard strategy to execute. And then Boulder, especially, Boulder's not known for being a great cash flow market.
Sure.
So I would love to unpack that case study.
Yeah. I've got a great borrower group. They love Boulder. They love Lions. Specifically right outside of kind of the heart of Boulder up in, the hills. It's beautiful up there. And you can charge some very nice rents up there. So we've done one cash out for them so far. We're working on a few more. But these property values are coming in 1.4, 1.5.
This is ARV?
Correct.
So what are they, rough number, like, kind of what they're buying for and rough rehab?
So I would say anywhere from, 700 to 900 area, 150, kind of 200 on the rehab. And then, so ARV's coming in 1.4, 1.55. So
they're able to create a few $100,000 of equity in there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then they're able to have rent cover their debt service?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a massive cash flow, but they are in the, hey, these are great assets, amazing locations, beautiful views.
That's like positive DSCR?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I didn't know you could charge as much for rent in certain areas. I see signed leases, $7,500 a month, $8,000 a month.
Long-term lease?
Yeah, yearly. And it's comps support it too. Yeah. We're getting market rent analysis on, that's required for DSCR. And there's other comps that are in this area. So the numbers work. The cash flow is on the lighter side, I will say. Maybe lighter.
That is not surprising. It's the fact that covering its debt services in my book.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's prime real estate.
Right.
That's a bond there you got.
But, this is a long-term play for these guys. Yeah. So appreciation's there, rents, I think their goal right now is, hey, we're covering our cash flow, we're covering our debt service right now. We're going to reassess in 12 months, 18 months, see if rents go up, if appreciation goes up. But yeah, it's working.
Wow.
But you have to be very strategic about where you buy up there.
And it sounds like, they know locations. Obviously, that's kind of like their sandbox.
Yeah.
And are they just getting like great distressed deals, or are these just desirable properties they go in there and just make it that great finish that they can just go in there and charge a premium for it?
Both. Yeah. Okay. I mean, a lot of these they're all off-market deals, obviously.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. I think they have one or two wholesalers they work with. They also live in that area, so they know these streets like the back of their hand, and they know their neighbors. They know these properties. I think, and one thing for other people looking up there to be mindful of is some of these are considered rural based on DSCR guidelines too. So that's something to be mindful of that can take a little bit of tweaking with the numbers. But yeah, I mean, they're successful there because they stay in this pocket and they really know it. They're not going all over the place.
But, kind of taking a step back, that's just, that's a perfect example of one of my favorite phrases, which is the riches are in the niches, right? They have a very just niche area, niche product, niche knowledge. That, hey, if you just really get one thing, it's like, yeah, that's such a niche area, but it sounds like they've built a very profitable niche.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
okay, so they're doing
properties.
A couple of these BRRRRs a year, it sounds like?
They're buying 1 to 2 a month right now.
Or semi-combo like BRRRRs and flips?
They're keeping all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they are very bullish.
They are aggressive.
I love it.
They are very tight with their numbers. And they do a lot of their own work too. So, they're keeping their construction costs pretty refined. But yeah, the plan is to hold everything.
Okay. And then you, on the lender side, you guys are doing the rehab and the DSCR?
Correct.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, that probably makes their lives a little bit easier, I would imagine.
It does, because when they're buying something, I'm also running numbers on the back end, saying, hey guys, you've been pretty spot on your rents so far. Assuming this, we're in a good spot. We can pull out this much cash, you cash flow this much, because I know their business model, and then, okay, plan B. Well, now I have a beautiful property in Boulder. Who wouldn't want to buy that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I think that's so smart. Even like, back in the 2010s when people were doing BRRRRs then, I was amazed how people they buy the property, from a wholesaler, get a discount, get their fix and flip loan on there, and then once it's done, all right, let me talk about takeout finance. Like, no, you got to underwrite that while you're under contract.
Especially now.
Yes. Oh yeah, especially now.
Especially now, because that ARV that was true 8 months ago maybe isn't true now. Yes. So yeah.
So there's a good tip and a reminder for underwrite the whole deal, and options, right? Option A, option B, option C. Something else to move on to for another topic is we were talking about builders, right? I've talked a lot on this podcast about, there are opportunities to go out there and I think buy new builds.
Sure.
From just to, go buy distressed stuff. And I know you guys work with a lot of builders on helping them go from hey, their construction to some type of permanent financing because they have a hard time selling it.
Yep.
Can you kind of talk about what you're seeing on the lender seat and then what type of deals hey, that makes sense when you go out there and go from construction to perm, or, oh, sorry, good luck?
Yeah. I think it's no secret that attached inventory is struggling right now. The townhomes, the condos. Mostly what I've seen a lot of is townhome developers needing a plan B that, they
and these are build to sell.
Correct.
Yeah.
These are build to sell. And, they had some success in the spring, the summer, but now they've got 5, 6, 7 units hanging around that are not really moving. The bank wants to be paid off. These builders have another project they've already started, and they're like, I've got to do something with these units. So, we're either offering, hey, let's pay off your construction debt, get you into maybe a 12-month bridge loan, interest only, easy peasy, don't need leases, don't need nothing. That's one option. The other option, which is usually lower interest, is doing a DSCR loan. With that, we are needing to look at what the market rent is or what's in place rent. Sometimes these developers have already, kind of accepted what's happening and say, I'm going to lease it up. I've got a tenant in there. Some haven't done that yet, and they're all vacant units. So in that scenario, we are going off of whatever market rent the appraiser deems to be true.
And they are usually pretty conservative.
They are. Yeah, they are. The deal, I will tell you about a handful of deals I just closed yesterday actually was 5 units, and the developer thought market rent was $4,500, $4,400. These are townhomes, brand new, beautiful. Appraiser says market rent is $3,600 on these.
That's a delta.
That's quite a delta. So I'll just get into this deal. So essentially, he had 5 townhomes, and his, bank just wanted to be paid off. He wanted to move on. So we did individual loans so that he has the flexibility to sell them, refi them on his own, whatever he wants to do. He is actually negatively cash flowing if you look at the numbers with the market rents that we're using. Granted, he might actually end up getting higher rent and he could be fine. But with the numbers that we were underwriting with at $3,600, it was a negative cash flow. But he still got $700,000 in cash out.
So it was a cash out refi.
Yes. He wanted some working capital. He's got some other stuff going. So maybe that $700,000 is going to help him with his monthly delta too when he gets these rented. But it still made sense for him is the point. So the numbers, the DSCR might look a little ugly, but for this developer, it made sense for him. He pulled out $700,000 in equity that he didn't have. The bank is satisfied off his back, and now he can lease them up and move on to his next project.
So at least sounds like he was in a better position than some builders I've seen. He was not a negative equity, at least.
Correct.
So I guess he kind of come in using a conservative LTC.
I think he may have done some larger pay downs with the bank before we got involved. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, his payoff was reasonable. So I think up front he had put a decent amount of his own capital in it and kept his construction loan fairly conservative. So yeah, I mean, I am seeing a lot of builders too just,
Well, we looked at a few deals together.
Yeah,
just in our mutual network.
Their loan to cost and value
they were 85% loan to cost, and I mean they're negative equity.
Right. Yeah, that's a much different position.
Okay, so you're seeing a couple. You're seeing a couple trends here. There's distressed builders because no one can sell,
right?
And no one can sell at the price they want,
sure,
or wanted. But then some are in a good position, like the loan you guys closed this week, where hey, they've got buffer in there. I think other people, it's like you're just. It's just there's nothing there.
I'm looking at another one right now where it's 2 brand new single family homes, beautiful. And his payoff would be exactly or slightly above what our max loan would be. We're maxing out leverage here, but the DSCR doesn't work. The market DSCR, the market rent for the DSCR. So, and it's so low, it's below 0.8 that we can't close that. There's a minimum we have to have, I believe 0.8. And so we are now looking at 2 other properties he already owns that are at 40-50 loan to value on their current debt, and essentially using those as an entire portfolio to boost up the negative cash flow of these 2 new build properties.
And this will be like a portfolio?
This would be a portfolio. So he's in it. It kind of hurts my heart, but he told me, he's like, do whatever you have to do. So we are looking at replacing a very nice mortgage rate on these 2 nice rentals he's had for years that are at 40-50 LTV, just to be able to pay off construction debt of these, new builds he's got, I think in Applewood, Golden, hot area that everyone, wants to be in, that can't sell. But he's like, I got to do that right now. So that's what we're working on. Yeah.
So you're going to collateralize some great assets with the negative cash flow assets and then package it together. It's a good package.
Yeah, and they average out. So now our DSCR, he's actually positively cash flowing.
Are you seeing many builders or investors in that situation where, hey, there's distress, but they've got other assets where they can cover it or float it, or combination of it?
The question is, do they want to? It's that, are we going to bite the bullet and, hey, I've got these rentals at a really nice 4%, 3.5%, but I've got equity in them and they positively cash flow. So I'm sitting here asking the tough question, saying, we got to be first position. We got to replace your existing mortgage over here. So do you want to do that? Sometimes it's no, absolutely not. Let's look at a bridge loan. Sometimes it's, yep, let's do it. I understand this is so every investor right now has got their, different comfort level.
Yeah.
But I have the conversation.
Yeah, always because sometimes, hey, it makes sense. I'm like, hey, are you throwing good money after bad money?
Right. Yeah.
No one wants that. It's
math. There's emotions tied to it, of course. But at the end of the day,
yes,
I'm like,
there is.
The maths. So what do you think?
What are you seeing for spring? We are recording this mid-November. So we all know, hey, Q4 is slowest time in the market,
sleepy.
Worst time to rent, worst time to sell.
Yeah.
A lot of people, hey, they get their 1 or 2 projects now and kind of gear up for spring listing or springtime.
Yeah.
Now the 2025 spring season was non-existent this year.
Sure.
What's the sentiment you're feeling, or what are your flippers doing? Kind of how are your clients forecasting the spring?
Yeah, I am seeing guys wanting to. The agent I was talking to yesterday, he's like, I'm trying to buy 5-6 more before the end of the year. I'm like, well, you better get on it. They're gearing up for, I would call, quick, lighter flips to list in the spring. I don't know if they think pent up demand is going to break. I don't know if they think
It's in that for a while.
Rates are going to suddenly drop. My crystal ball is cloudy, so I'm certainly not advising on what rates are going to do. But yeah, I'm talking to all these investors who are picking up deals. I wouldn't say heavy luxury rehabs. I would say, deals they can be in and out of in 3 to 4 months and are priming up to
list. More like cosmetic?
Yeah, cosmetic things that they can list in the spring. So, something's in the water. They're feeling confident about it. If the numbers work, I'm all about it. Okay. So
I imagine, we get to the year and I imagine some of your clients got seeing some really good deals, because this is always the best buying window is at Q4, and especially between like Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Yeah,
it is the best buying window.
Yeah, I have seen deals where wholesalers are giving a little bit on their numbers, or sellers too, because sellers know like, okay, we're going into Thanksgiving next week. Call that a dead week. Then we're going into holiday, Christmas. Gosh, who knows? Maybe they won't get another decent offer till end of January. Mm-hmm. And if people just need to, get rid of stuff before the end of the year, tax reasons, whatever, they just want to be done with it. Like, okay, I got my small window. Title companies are still open. People are still doing stuff. Let's just move this. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's it's kind of a sneaky time for investors to pick up deals.
And I know another deal you closed. I think it was last week. You said, Caitlin, you were telling me about a fix and flip here in Denver, mm-hmm. where I think the estimated ARV was going to be about 1.3. Mm-hmm. The appraisal came in at 1.4.
Yeah. And
you guys were excited about the project. Can you kind of just talk about where that is in that project?
Yeah. So it was a new client for me. I was really excited to work with them. We actually had a very short window to close. I got the deal 5 days before they were scheduled to close. So we didn't have time to get a full appraisal. We ordered one, but we knew the valuation, the report was going to come back after we closed. So we did a little due diligence. This team's the borrower team's very experienced.
So new client, but not new.
Correct. Investor. Yeah. Sorry. New to me, yeah. But a very experienced, flipper team. So they had fantastic comps. They're, one's an agent themselves. So, confident they know the market, and they were projecting about 1.3. So we went ahead and closed, assuming, okay, this is going to come in at 1.3. And at Dynamo, we've got, a great system where we say, okay, we don't have time to get an appraisal. We want to still get your business and close this on time. So we'll go ahead and give you a loan, up to our parameters of this, which is 75% of your ARV. We'll still get an appraisal. If for some reason the appraisal comes in low, you right size our loan. Well, in this case, it came in $100,000 higher. So we got the appraisal back 1.4, jackpot. Obviously our leverage is lower now. They're like, we were being conservative, but so this is fantastic news. So yeah, it was a great deal. Clients are happy. We got it done in 5 days, and now we are, under our max leverage too. So it's fantastic.
What neighborhood is this? Do you remember?
Need to double check.
Yeah, if you can't, don't talk to this.
Yeah, this is in Englewood.
Okay.
They bought it for $685. Rehab was $250. Yeah, projected ARV was 1.3.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So they got some margins on there.
Yeah. Nice deal.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin, this has been a great podcast.
Awesome.
It is going to be the first of many, because I always like to bring experts to come talk to the market, come to see deal flow, because that's how I know I learn. Our listeners learn as well. So thank you. For people that want to talk shop or potentially connect with you at looking at a project or a loan, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm reachable all the time. You can text or call me. Number 720-301-6446, or email. That's Caitlin, spelled Caitlin at Dynamo Capital. I'm always on my phone, so
cool. And we will put those in the show notes as well. Of course, you can just email me, and I can forward off an email. But Caitlin, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to have it.
All right, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.